Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's sure to spark some debate. Why the British might not be the most reliable partners for the US. Now, I know what you're thinking. The British? Those tea-loving, crumpet-munching, corgi-petting chaps? What could go wrong? Well, as it turns out, quite a bit. Buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into the murky waters of the U.S. UK alliance. Let's get started. First up, let's address the elephant in the room wearing a Union Jack Speedo Brexit. Since the UK decided to consciously uncouple from the EU, it's been on a mission to establish itself as a major player on the world stage. All very rule Britannia, all very predictable. The problem is this newfound independence has led to some awkward situations, particularly when it comes to China. The UK, desperate for trade deals and investment, has been trying to cozy up to Beijing, much to the chagrin of the US, who see China as a strategic rival. It's like watching your best mate try to flirt with your nemesis at a party. Awkward doesn't even begin to cover it. Now, the US and the UK are supposed to be in a super secret intelligence sharing club. The Five Eyes, along with Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. You know, the kind of club where you swap secrets and gossip about the other kids in the playground. But lately, there have been some trust issues. The US has been increasingly concerned about the security of British infrastructure, particularly when it comes to Chinese tech companies like Huawei. Remember that whole 5G debacle? The US was practically begging the UK to kick Huawei to the curb, but the Brits, ever stubborn, dragged their feet. This lack of security coordination makes the US nervous, and rightfully so. It's like sharing your deepest, darkest secrets with someone who leaves their diary lying around in a public restroom. Let's be honest, the UK's military isn't exactly what it used to be. Years of budget cuts have left the armed forces a bit like your nan's old car, full of character, but prone to breaking down at the worst possible moment. This isn't to say the UK is completely outmatched. They still have some fancy jets and well-trained soldiers, but compared to the US military behemoth, they're practically running a mom-and-pop shop. In a real scrap, the UK would be heavily reliant on US logistical and technological support. And let's be honest, relying on your mate who's always late with the rent money and forgets to call you back isn't exactly a comforting thought, is it? Chapter 4. Speaking of unreliable mates, can we talk about British politics for a second? The past few years have been more chaotic than a toddler's birthday party at a bouncy castle factory. They've gone through prime ministers faster than I go through a tin of biscuits. This revolving door of leaders makes it incredibly difficult for the US to maintain any kind of consistent foreign policy relationship. It's like trying to have a serious conversation with someone who keeps changing their personality and outfit every 5 minutes. Chapter 5. Squabbling shopkeepers, trade, and economic conflicts. Even when it comes to money, the US and UK can't seem to see eye to eye. They've been bickering over trade deals, agricultural standards, and tech regulations like a pair of old biddies fighting over a discounted sweater at a jumble sale. Remember that whole chlorinated chicken debacle? The mere thought of it still sends shivers down my spine. These trade tensions and disagreements highlight the fact that, despite the special relationship, the US and UK are ultimately looking out for their own economic interests, and sometimes those interests clash like a pair of poorly chosen socks. Chapter 6. The tide is turning. Public sentiment and political shifts. Here's a fun fact. Anti-American sentiment in the UK is on the rise. Remember that whole Iraq war thing? Yeah, that didn't exactly win the US any popularity contests across the pond. And then there was that whole Trump era of diplomacy, which we shall not speak of. Let's just say it did little to endear the US to the British public. This growing skepticism towards the US, coupled with the UK's desire to forge its own path post-Brexit, could lead to a future where the US-UK relationship is more distant and less, shall we say, special. Chapter 7. Forgive and Forget. Historical Trust Issues. Look, we can't talk about the US-UK relationship without addressing the elephant in the room wearing a powdered wig and breeches history. The UK has a bit of a complicated past, particularly when it comes to its former colonies. Those centuries of empire building and colonialism have left some scars, and understandably so. Those past transgressions, coupled with more recent disagreements, have led some to question whether the UK can truly be trusted as an ally. After all, this is a country that once thought it was a good idea to tax tea, and we all know how that turned out. So there you have it, the US-UK relationship, a complex tapestry of shared history, common interests, and simmering tensions. Are they the best of mates, destined to ride off into the sunset together? Or are they more like that couple who everyone knows should have broken up years ago, but for some reason are still clinging on? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.